Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Brownie from the Youngs. Today we're going over some cards coming out in Shining Victories into the OCG in January, coming to the TCG in the Shining Victories equivalent in May. We're going to go over Unwavering Bonds first, which is probably the most interesting card. You remember Wavering Eyes from Clash of Rebellion? That was really crazy. And it was supposed to be an anti-pendulum card, but it didn't really work out. That card was just crazy. We have another card that kind of looks like it. It came. We found it out through in the OCG Shining Victories commercial. Let's see if I can zoom in. It's this one right here, and it has a very similar artwork to Wavering Eyes, the regular Wavering Eyes. But this one is a counter trap, and here's its effect. When your opponent activates the card effect of a card in a pendulum zone, or activates the effect of a pendulum monster, and get the activation if you do, banish that card. Okay. Right away, counter trap. That's really good, except there are two sides of this coin. So yeah, they can't counter traps are the most powerful trap cards in the game, but you can search this card with Liberating Ariadne. So who's going to be able to abuse this card the most? It's probably going to be a pendulum deck that can play Ariadne. I don't have a problem with Ariadne. I don't think it should be hit, but the more counter traps that are released that are kind of like this, when you have cards like this and Solemn Notice, Ariadne's get better and better over time. This would be a really solid side deck card. Is this card practical? Well, I don't really play any trap cards to begin with in any pendulum deck because you can't combo with this card. This card's actually kind of a brick because if you draw, say you in your opening five cards, and this is one of your cards, you only have 4 cards to facilitate your combos. So it's a side deck card at most when you're playing a pendulum deck. But if you're playing a non-pendulum deck, it actually does probably earn a slot into there. If not the main, then definitely the side. This card is definitely very powerful, especially since it banishes and it negates 2 common occurrences, any effect of a pendulum monster and any effect in a pendulum scale. That's pretty big against a pendulum deck. I cannot wait to negate and destroy 4-pound pendulum sorcerer with this card. That's gonna be so much fun. All right, next card, Daunting Pose. It's a normal trap card, and its picture is right here. They gave us like a preview of it yesterday. They're like, "Oh, here's a picture of a card. Guess what it does?" They've been doing that for like 2 days straight. I guess they enjoy doing that. I don't know. It's just kind of strange because how are we supposed to guess this? Daunting Pose. You can activate 1 Daunting Pose per turn. Target 1 defensive position monster on the field. Double that monster's defense, but when that turn ends, that monster's defense becomes 0. Banish the card from your graveyard, then target 1 monster you control. During this turn, your opponent can only attack the target monster. They switched the effect. Originally, it said your opponent cannot attack the target monster, but now it says they can only attack the target monster. Damn, it was so close to being good. If it were the second effect where if it were the original effect in the initial translation where your opponent cannot attack that monster, that should be like a really solid double use defense card. So yeah, the second effect is it's kind of niche. I think if you activate this card, so say you use 3 monsters, if you activate this card and target one of those 3 monsters, once that monster dies, I'm pretty sure your opponent can no longer attack for the rest of the turn because they could only attack the target monster. So if that target monster leaves the field, they have no other viable targets that they can attack. So that's kind of interesting. That might be a decent defense card if that's the way it actually is. We have to see the OCG rulings once they come out with those after Shining Victories drops because they'll be able to clarify that for us. For the first effect, where you can double a defense position monster's defense. That's pretty good, except that you can use this card. You can use this effect during the damage step, which is that's sort of neat. But there's this card's not very practical, except in really niche decks. If you're playing Big Shield Gardener, yeah, this would be really cool, a surprise factor, but it's really not gonna facilitate your game state all that much. You can't combo with this card. It literally does one thing and one thing only. It's double a monster's defense for a cool deal a little bit of damage, but I don't know. I'm not terribly impressed with it. It's decent. It's decent, but I don't think it's going to see any play because it kind of does one thing only. Can't combo with it. In the next few formats, when you're playing a pendulum deck, you're going to need combo pieces because I realized that when you're playing a pendulum deck, you want to play as little traps as possible because you want to draw as many pendulum monsters as you can so you can just combo with them. All right. Next, we got Tuner's High, and this picture is right here. I forget who this is. I know we have Nitro Synchron here, Junk Synchron right here, and then I forget. I think this guy's Power Warrior is something that Jack Atlas used in the anime. I can't. He was like a level 5 tuner, is that right? I don't know, it's not really that big deal. Tuner side, discard one monster from your hand, special summon one tutor monster from your deck that's the same type and attribute as that monster, but that is one level higher. This card reminds me a lot of Painful Escape, where you use one monster in order to bring out a card that's similar, but this time it's a tuner monster, so it doesn't summon as many cards, so it's faster than Painful Escape because you can use Painful Escape is a trap card, and this card is a normal spell card. Is it practical? It depends on the deck. I mean, you have to tribute, so you have to use this card and you discard one card to summon one monster. So you technically go -1. So that tuner monster better be pretty good. And so I'm not really sure how viable this card is, but we're gonna have to see in the future how some decks can abuse this card. It definitely has potential since how generic it is, but it's good. It's only good in the right deck. All right, and we got only one more, and it's Wonder Xyz. It's a normal trap card, and it says immediately after this effect resolves, Xyz summon one Xyz monster using monsters you control. Okay, Wonder Xyz. This is the picture right here, and let me just check the date. Today is December 20th, 2015. Damn, this card, December 20th, 2015, that's way too late. So late. If this card had been released like 2 years ago, like maybe it'd be in season play, but you're releasing this card now in the pendulum age of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, what are you waiting for? It's just like Urgent Tuning, where like Urgent Tuning came out at the right time. That came out in Crimson Crisis, I believe, is a super rare there. Urgent Tuning said, I'll go and look it up. Urgent Tuning. Urgent Tuning says during the battle phase, immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon one synchro monster using monsters you control. This card says during the battle phase, but this card does not. You can use it outside the battle phase, which is neat. But it's kind of, I mean, Urgent Tuning didn't really see any play. I don't really see this card is going to see any play either. Not to mention, there are a lot of decks that are going to have that have this Urgent Tuning effect built in, like the Yang Zing deck. So, I mean, yeah, like, this effect's decent, but remember, this card does one thing, and one thing only. It's kind of niche. I mean, why would you have to use a trap card to do something that you can already do for free? If I have 2 level 4 monsters on the field, I don't need a trap card to make them Xyz. I can just put them on top of each other and Xyz. I don't have to use a card to make them Xyz. Yeah, I can use it during the battle phase, but it's not really that practical. There's probably gonna be some archetype eventually that's gonna have this effect built into them, just like the Yang Zing. So I'm not thoroughly impressed with this card. It just came out way too late. Look, it's 2015, dude. Why it's about to be 2016? Why are you releasing this card now? It should have come out like Order of Chaos. No, yeah, Order of Chaos, the one that had C93 Hope on the front. You should have came out then, but this is way too late. But that's my thoughts on these 4 cards. There's also some Raid Raptor cards that I didn't really care about, so I don't really bother reviewing them. That deck's not. Okay, I'll talk about them once we get confirmation on the good Raid Raptors coming to the TCG, and who knows, in Wing Raiders in February we might be getting that. But those are just my thoughts on these cards. Unwavering Bonds is pretty decent. Just Liberating Ariadne, man, that card is starting to scare me more and more. So that card's pretty decent. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below of all these cards. And as always, thank you very much for watching. And see you all next time.